Welcome to Geek News Central, your go-to source for the latest in AI and tech news. Today, we're covering a major shakeup in the AI industry. Anthropic is fighting back against a proposed U.S. government ban on Google investing in AI startups. With billions online, could this decision reshape the competitive landscape, or will it stifle innovation? We'll break down what's happening, why it matters, and what's next for the AI arms race. I want to welcome you to episode 1800, coming to this Monday, February 17th. I'm your host, Todd Cochran, ready to deliver your tech news and information fix. A quick shout out to our incredible sponsor at GoDaddy. Explore exclusive deals and discounts at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And to all of you that have been here through 1800 episodes, you are the heartbeat of this show. If you want to support the GNC mission, head to geeknewscentral.com/insider and become a GNC insider. We are live and lit thanks to modern podcast apps. Don't just listen, experience the show live by grabbing a modern podcast app at podcastapps.com. You can interact in real time and take your podcasting experience to the next level. While you're at it, check out the full Geek News Central universe at geeknewscentral.com, where you find all our partner shows, tons of content, and more tech goodness. Of course, you can stay in the loop, follow or subscribe via your favorite podcast app, and join the community. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter for even more insider scoops. Have something to say? Join the conversation at geeknews.chat or email me at geeknews@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on X at Geek News, and you can even catch me on Facebook. Of course, Geek News Central listeners are long, steady, continuous sponsor of this show since really June of 2005 has been GoDaddy. And just like all these other hundreds of episodes, we want to thank them for being a continued sponsor here, and you can lock in some fantastic deals. Get exclusive savings right now at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Again, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy with our GoDaddy promo codes. Want to start a website or a podcast? Our codes make it easy and affordable. Grab GoDaddy's economy hosting for just $6.99 a month. That's a full year of hosting with a free domain name, professional email, and an SSL certificate. Grab or click the promo code. Of course, for WordPress fans, we have WordPress Managed Hosting. It's just $12.99 a month, which includes a free domain, professional email, and an SSL certificate. Need a domain name? Get yours for just $11.99. And if you're testing the waters, try GoDaddy's website builder free for a whole month. How about GoDaddy website builder again? Free 30-day trial on a personal business of Business Plus plans. So whether it be an economy hosting, WordPress, GoDaddy website builder, buying a domain name, we've got it all. Again, Geek News Central uses all of GoDaddy's products and service, and your support keeps this podcast alive. Use our codes to save money and back this independent team of creators. Share my deals with friends and family, because every time a code is used, it supports Geek News Central. Again, thanks for keeping us online and going strong. Here we are, 1800. It took forever to get here, didn't it? Took over a year. We'll talk a little bit about that. Do want to thank SJG Media for their $10.80 donation to the show. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it, for your ongoing support and your warrior donation. But if we go back, we're never going to go back too far, but if we think about where this show has been, some quick facts and figures for you. 8,600 hours producing and publishing this show. That's what it has taken for 20 and a half years. 2,000 plus hours of content. 83 days of your life if you've listened to every single episode over the 20 plus years. That's an incredible number, and some of you have been here from the beginning, or single digits, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's really incredible that you've hung out for 1,800 total episodes, and I'm truly grateful. The history of this show, and for those of you that have never heard it, really it had humble beginnings, and it goes all the way back to probably 1987, 1988. 1988 to 1991, when I ran a bulletin board system. I started out with a 65 meg hard drive and a Commodore Colt and a 2400 baud modem, which is right over my shoulder. If I go this way, you guys can see it on the shelf if you're watching the show. It's a reminder to me how far we've come in all these years. 91, 94, I ran a bulletin board system in Guam. I was using AOL Telnet with our login to get to a Chicago CBBS to basically download new shareware and messages. And of course, I was using Wildcat. And then 94 to 97, I was in Maryland. The military was moving me around. And I ran that bulletin board system in a closet of a ISP. Literally, I would pull the chair out, sit down in it, and move my chair into the closet to manage my system. And then when I left Maryland and moved to Hawaii in 1997, the bulletin board moved there and basically went to die, because 2001, 2002 is about the time the bulletin board scene was kind of dialing off. I was basically taking care of, in the FidoNet land, Region 6 for many years, which was, all of Asia. And so it was a pretty wild time. And then 2002, I launched the geeknewscentral.com website. And that, little did we know, those humble beginnings in those early years when no one was reading the website, maybe 300 a week. If I was lucky. And then, of course, 2004 in June, I had my accident, swimming pool accident that just about paralyzed me. I was really, 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 really lucky, but I broke my back and was on for a long recovery. And of course, when you're broke in the Navy looks to say, what are you doing for Uncle Sugar? How are you going to take care of, what are you going to do for Uncle Sugar? So I went off to Waco, Texas to babysit airplanes being manufactured. And little did I know, in very, very early October of 2004, October 9th specifically, I heard about podcasting before October 9th, but I had to go across the street and buy a microphone. And this show was launched in a Hampton Inn on I-35 and introduced by AC/DC Back in Black. First 2 episodes had commercial music in it. Those episodes are no longer available, which then, really led to a book deal. We launched Tech Podcast Network. In May of 2005, announced the book. June, announced GoDaddy. August of 2005, announced GoToMeeting as a sponsor. Launched the company Raw Voice, which is now I commonly refer to as Blueberry, but Raw Voice is still the parent company. Launched the Podcast Awards at podcastawards.com. Went to my first CES in January of 2006. And really things kind of progressed very quickly. June 30th, we launched Blueberry and Stats. And you all know what happened in August 2006. My dad died on my 200th episode. And I came back to, essentially 5,000 emails from all of you of condolences. So it's hard to believe. 2007, I retired from the Navy. I've spent almost a couple of years here. It will be 20 years since I retired, which is really kind of mind-boggling to me. And 2009, you started playing with video. I think that was around episode 500 or so. Fortunately, was inducted in the Podcast Hall of Fame in 2015. I left Hawaii in 2019 and built the first new media studio. And of course, this year got kicked out of that studio, and we're in the new studio. And of course, here we are. We've hit 1,800 episodes, and I did just some quick math, about 87 episodes a year. Out of 104 possible, because I do 2 episodes a week, 52 weeks in a year. So considering I've been at this for nearly 20 plus years, not bad whatsoever. I figure there's not a lot of shows that made it to 1800. Very few shows or very few podcasters that made it 20 plus years. And I talked to you guys way back in the beginning. And I told you if this show quit being fun, I'd quit. Or when it become no longer fun, I would stop. And so far, there's been a few times. A few times that I wish I would have pulled the plug, per se. But here I am. And still sustaining and doing the show. And, thank goodness GoDaddy is still supporting the podcast with their sponsorship. A number of you that are insiders are supporting the show by being an insider. It does, don't get me wrong. We have much more higher expenses than what the insiders contribute, but that's okay. As long as you guys keep buying GoDaddy product services and telling people about GoDaddy, we're going to be okay. And, and it's truly, there should be some world record I should get for having a Guinness Book of World Record for having GoDaddy. And matter of fact, I don't know what the case will be, but June of this year will be 20 years. It'd be pretty cool to have a Guinness Book of World Records for the same sponsor for 20 years. No one else, no one in the podcasting space, not a single show, I would say even a tenth close. So maybe that's something we'll look into. I wonder what they require for payment to make that happen. But yeah, 20 years of the same podcasting sponsor. That is definitely a world record, whether Guinness gives me that record or not. And we got to make it to June, of course, with them as a sponsor. But the last couple of months, you guys keep doing what we're doing. We don't have to worry about that. But yeah, an exciting time. And I'm just so grateful for all of you for being here for 18. Always the goal was 100 episodes a year, but just don't think I can do it. That's why the average is about 90. So that's why it shifts a month and a half every 100. Because I don't do 100 episodes a year. Sure, we could do replays and stuff like that, but this is a tech news show, and it gets you guys wouldn't want to listen to reruns. That doesn't work. So where are we going from here? Well, the march continues, the march to 2000, of course. And if everything goes right, 2.5 years or so, and we will be at 2000. I don't know. I'm not going to promise a faster pace because I'm got a business. I'm keeping employees employed, and I do this show, at the time I'm doing it now. It's 6:30 here in Michigan at this time. And that's just, that's kind of the pace that we're at. But thanks for being here, and thanks for continuing to stay subscribed. And it's been a fun ride, and onward we go. So let's go ahead. We spent enough reminiscing here. Let's go ahead and get into the tech news. Kirk did a good job. I had to go out and grab a few more because the news is a little slow. I think the weather, this ice cold. I've just been hibernating. I had to take the trash can to the road yesterday, but we did go somewhere. I had to take a power supply to send back to Starlink. So I had to take that to the FedEx drop box. So I did that Sunday. Other than that, it's been pretty much, stayed here, went out to dinner Friday, stayed in Saturday. And then again, absolutely full work day today with things going on at Blueberry and juggling everything happens there. All right, so let's talk about X here. X is blocking links to secure messaging platform Signal. And here's what we think, or here's what they think is happening, because some government employees are trying to hide their communications. They think they're linking from X into Signal, but that doesn't make any sense. Why would you put a public link to something in Signal unless it was directed to. I haven't used Signal in a while, but wasn't it all about secure messaging back and forth, not necessarily letting someone see a link to a conversation? Or is that maybe that is a use case? But that's the suspicion. Just like WhatsApp relies on WA.ME URL to format for sharing direct messages, Signal also follows a similar approach to let users click on Signal.me and directly land in a one-on-one chat. So through a direct message, this individual tried sharing a Signal chat link, but got an error message telling me that the post wasn't set. And but they didn't go through. Putting a Signal link in public posts or DM simply returns a sending error without an explanation. However, when updating the X bio with the link, the error message describes Signal.me as malware, which is wow. X is also blocking users from clicking on Signal links shared in older posts. So far, the platform hasn't said anything officially about why Signal links are running into a digital wall. For existing links out there, and X platform is warning users it may be malicious, spammy, misleading, or something that violates X policy. Well, I think we all know that Signal is a viable messaging platform, so there's something going on here. But I wouldn't be linking to anything private in Signal anyway. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me. Anthropic is trying to figure out what they're going to do. Court ban on Google AI stakes would hurt Anthropic clients, says analyst. And they're speaking out against the proposed ban on Google investing in AI firms. It's one of the remedies sought by the U.S. government after the company was found guilty. Remember this, they found guilty of anti-competitive practice in markets for search and text advertising. And I think we fully understand that. I do, especially as I'm watching things. So Anthropic, is relying on money from Google. So they've asked the U.S. court for permission to intervene because the AI investment was not part of the antitrust investigation. So they filed a request for submitting the remedy phase of the trial. And as an amicus curiae or friend of the court, so a forced expedited sale of Google's stake in Anthropic could depress Anthropic's market value. Now, this remedy that's being applied by the court wouldn't just affect Google. It's going to hurt other companies as well. So we will see what happens here. But, we know Amazon is invested in Anthropic as well. But anyway, Google doesn't have any exclusive rights to any of its product, despite investing nearly $3 billion in 2022. Just Trump change for these companies. We're talking, we're throwing millions and billions around in all of the social networks with everything that Doge is doing. And I think we all get pretty numb to, these types of numbers. And of course, people are not happy. The protesters are demonstrating outside Tesla showrooms in the United States. I don't understand why people are freaking out about saving taxpayer dollars. Even $1 billion recovered is $1 billion. $1 billion is 100 million or 999 million plus one. Come on. It's a number, $1 billion. Write that down and look at all those zeros. So people are protesting about trying to save money. I just don't get it. So some people are selling their Teslas and going all kinds of crazy. I don't get it. I don't like paying taxes. My tax bill is significant every year, and I'm happy to pay it. Not really. I look at that amount every year, and if we all had to write a check at the end of the year instead of having it drawn out little by little every month, If we said at the end of the month, they come back and say to us, yes, you have to pay $32,000 to the IRS, most of us would choke, or 20,000 or 10,000 or whatever your number is. Yes, if you're paying a lot of taxes, it means you're doing well. But again, if you are giving that much to the government, you should care about this. But yet people are protesting about saving money. I don't get it. I really don't. And of course, TikTok is in the news. TikTok's uncertain future in the U.S. and people who want to buy it. So the clock is running here. I think they got about 60 days left. And so they've got to do something. Now, the leading contenders include Microsoft, Oracle, and Walmart. However, a U.S. judge is temporarily blocked his executive allowing TikTok to continue operating while the legal battle unfolded. So it's all kinds of crazy stuff going on here. Oh, no, this is back in before. They're giving a history of this thing. Sorry. So, we're on 75 days left. So January 20th, it's not quite 30 days yet. So 45 days left. So I don't know who's going to bid on this now. Never given no history. I'm sorry earlier here. Kevin O'Leary, Tim Berners-Lee of the WWWs supports the proposal. David Clark has also been named a participant. So there's a whole bunch of people. It's going to take a lot of money to be able to buy this thing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't see it going away at this point for sure, but someone's going to spend a lot of cash for this thing. Meta is revealing a huge 50,000 kilometer subsea cable project. This is massive. It's called Project Waterworth. Gets the go ahead. Leaves the East Coast, goes down to South America, goes to the bottom of Africa, looks like goes to the tip of India, to Australia, and back around the loop and into the northern United States. So again, it's going to span the whole world. 50,000 kilometer subsea cable project. Insane. $10 billion to build this. Again, they want to go around the world with it. U.S., India, Brazil, South Africa, etc. It might be made its biggest, but certainly not its first. The company's developed 20 other cables over the years, including an extended version of its Two Africa network, which was a previous record holder of 45,000 kilometers. Again, the cable network, which will loop south of Africa and cut through the center of Asia and Australia, will be laid at depths up to 7,000 meters, 2,100 feet below the water. So it gives them better control to be able to move network data. Again, this is Meta. This isn't Google. This is Meta. So $10 billion. That's how much data Facebook's moving. There was a question asked when Amazon required employees to work from the office 5 days a week starting January 2nd of this year, how that would affect downtown Seattle. In January, downtown Seattle recorded the second highest daily average for weekday worker foot traffic since March of 2020. It saw 2 million unique visitors on its sidewalk last month. That represents 94% of the visitors downtown Seattle saw in January 19. In a statement Friday, Amazon said, "We're excited by the innovation, collaboration, connection we've seen already with our teams working in person." The president of the Downtown Seattle Association said Amazon return has been a boon for downtown Seattle. As the city's largest employer, its mandate instantly brought more people to shop and dine around South Lake Union, the Denny Triangle, and surrounding neighborhoods. I think we're seeing people get reacquainted with the reason they like working downtown pre-pandemic. Now, don't be fooled. These people still like working from home. They don't like coming into the office. They're only in the office because they've been forced to go to the office. And, I'll be honest. So since I moved back into the loft here, I'm doing 90%, 95% less fast food. I'm still, lunchtime is usually a sandwich, but it's a sandwich I make out of the refrigerator, and cold cuts and supposedly healthy, good bread. But, instead of going to McDonald's and Burger King and Taco Bell, and although when I do run to town, I usually hit something. And to be honest with you, I don't miss it at all. So, but those they're back in cities working, it's probably a boon to all those businesses, Subway and Jimmy John's and all those types of fast food establishments. The WordPress Foundation bid for greater trademark control halted, adding to more legal setbacks for CEO Matt Mullenweg. The WordPress Foundation requested to disclaim rights to hosted WordPress and managed WordPress. So they're trying to gain more trademark control of WordPress. But unprotected.org successfully petitions the USPTO against the application for hosted WordPress and managed WordPress. However, this is not an absolute denial for the trademark. So some call Matt Mullen's worship leadership into question over this. Of course, you know that Matt's been blocking WP Engine, and there's been a court battle. And some are asking, is Mullenweg doing more harm than good for WordPress? We're highly reliant on WordPress, and we create a PowerPress plugin for my company. So, we want WordPress to remain healthy. So, I'm not going to comment too much on this particular article, but I use the term manage WordPress at Blueberry because we manage WordPress accounts for our hosting customers. So if they got that trademark, I would have to go to the WordPress Foundation and get permission to use that word. So it's an interesting time for sure. But anyway, the setback for WordPress on this. A little bit of news out of the NASA nominee, and he hasn't had his conference yet, but the likely next leader of NASA is private astronaut and pilot Jared Isaacman. And he's kept a pretty low profile since the announcement last year that he was the president's choice to lead the space agency. Now, that's understandable, as he still must be confirmed by the U.S. Senate. No date has been yet put forward for confirmation hearing before the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee. I'm pretty sure what's going on here is they got the hard ones to get through, a couple hard ones this week. So I'm sure they're saving some of these to the end that will be relatively easy because he should be a shoo-in for this position. So this means we've heard little from him, who is in line to lead NASA over the next 4 years. Now, there is some conversation going on that he has made just recently. He made a comment on a image of Mars, and he did it on X, interestingly. And he said, when I see pictures like this, it's impossible not to feel energized about the future, he wrote. I think it's important for people to understand the profound implications of sending humans to another planet. Now, they're still planning to go back to the moon. So we will see whether or not that gets axed or where that lays as things come up. We've got Artemis that will get us to the moon, and then SpaceX to land us on the moon. So time will see where this all leads. A little bit of controversy going in Argentina. The Argentina president faces impeachment calls over a crypto crash. Argentine president is facing an impeachment call. He posted on X about the Libra coin on Friday, which he said would help fund small businesses and startups. And then people did a bit of an outcry, and he removed the post, causing Libra to crash. So people are questioning whether or not he made money on that transaction in this pullback or not. So we'll see what happens there. So leaders got to be careful what they say, just like anyone that's in the stock market. And every country has its rules on what you can say and what you can't. Google has shut down its earthquake alerts in Brazil after a warning failure. Google's Android Quake Alert system mistakenly sent out warnings across Brazil San Paulo and Rio de Janeiro residents got alerts for a 5.5 quake that never happened. The company blamed offshore activity near San Paulo for confusing the system and apologized for the mistake. I wonder what that was. What was the offshore incident? Does it say? Google owned up the blunder, stating the system got confused by some... Okay, what was the offshore activity? Doesn't say. So, essentially, Google's earthquake system turned smartphones into mini seismometers. Well, that's curious. So, yeah, false alarm on that, saying that the world is shaking, and it's not. In space news, ESA astronaut with physical disabilities medical cleared for International Space Station mission. And it's a first here. The ESA announced that John McFall, a reserve member of the agency's astronaut corps, has been certified by a multinational medical board for a long-duration mission to ISS. Now, what's interesting is McFall lost his right leg in a motorcycle accident at the age of 19 and wears a prosthesis. He is the first person with such a disability to be medically approved to train for missions to the station. So, doesn't say that ESA selected him as an astronaut class of 2022, and then doesn't guarantee he's going to be able to fly, but he is qualified. So, he's not yet assigned to a flight. So there's no date yet, but 12 reserve astronauts are on the tap. And of course, the International Space Station is on the clock right now for, how much longer before we deorbit that thing and put it into the ocean. Google TV lost some more of its free streaming channels, but it's not all bad news here. They did say goodbye to Christmas channels, including Zumo Holiday Movie Channel, Zumo Holiday Classics, and Zubo Christian Christmas. Those are all gone, but what is back now is Shades of Black, the Black Culture Entertainment Lifestyle Channel, and FuseBeat is also back on free play alongside the LGBTQ network Out TV Proud. So those are back while the other channels are out. The holiday channels. Not too much chance people want to listen to Christmas music right now unless you live in the Philippines. They start playing Christmas music in about August. Microsoft Outlook is targeted by new malware attacks, allowing sneaky hijacking. Even draft emails can be used in attacks. So cybersecurity researchers from Elastic Security Labs discovered this malware, and it's part of a larger toolkit. As per the researchers, the toolkit compromises a couple of tools called PathLoader, the malware called Final Draft, and multiple post-exploitation utilities. So the attack starts with the victim somehow being exposed to a loader. Here's what I recommend. I still run Malwarebytes on every computer I have. And I still run an antivirus application on all of my computers. Have I gotten flagged? Yes, just got flagged recently when an email came in, and basically the warning was, don't click the link. The malware system came up and says, this is a bad link, don't click it. So be aware, you can still, and I knew it was malware. It was, a phishing email. Came in as a, you need to sign this document type of thing, a DocuSign, fake DocuSign email. I get a number of those, but I know when stuff's coming, and I didn't have any coming. Gemini Live could soon be providing on-the-go subtitles for the hearing impaired. So Gemini Live offers a more interactive and conversational experience than traditional voice assistants by enabling natural and free-flowing conversation with AI. However, this feature is a significant drawback that may deter some early users. Just like in regular conversation, Gemini Live's entirely by voice. For instance, if you ask who won the Super Bowl, Gemini responds, the Eagles. Unfortunately, having that type of conversation becomes challenging in noisy environments and possible for individuals with hearing impairments. So Android Authority discovered a new string in the latest Google app beta. It shows users could soon have access to a new button to generate real-time captions for Gemini Live responses. So basically it feeds it back as a closed caption. So very, very nice. Government Italian spyware maker caught distributing malicious Android apps. Sometimes the old ways really are the best here. And so spyware maker SIO suspected of being behind Spartacus, a not-so-new spyware. And they go into what the spyware is. A link will be up in the show notes for you to review. Apple's weighing on adding business listing to Maps app. So this is interesting. Apple's exploring a way to monetize its Map app by introducing paid business listings and prioritized search results. Oh, this is good because, businesses are going to be hurt very badly because of the change to Google search. Bloomberg reports, citing an internal company meeting with the Maps team, the initiative would allow business to pay for the higher placement and more prominent display on Maps, similar to Google Maps advertising model. With no timeline has been set, no active development is underway. The company has previously increased its focus to search ads in the App Store. So we'll see where that leads. The NASA rover has discovered liquid water ripples carved into Mars rocks. So I'll show you the links here, or the pictures. You can see where the crest is and where the current wave and how the ripple effects made it into the dirt. So again, scientists have discovered that liquid water was once exposed to the air in ancient shallow lakes on Mars. The finding is evidence that now not all water on the red planet was covered in ice. Planetary geologists studying the Mars have known for decades that water was likely on the planet. So, again, more proof. The question is there anything left? Can we dig down and find some? That question is yet to be known. Net neutrality, well, it's not so neutral. But here's the thing. Everyone's blaming the current administration. But on January 2nd, before the inauguration, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit struck down FCC's net neutrality rules. The latest set of rules was safeguarding and securing the open internet. Would have been no blocking. Broadband providers may not block access to legal content, no throttling, and no paid prioritization. Those rules are all going by a court that struck down the FCC's net neutrality rules again on January 2nd, but everyone's pointing their finger. Now, I don't know who appointed those judges, so I'll leave it at that. YouTube TV, Paramount have reached a deal to keep channels on the streaming platform after contract dispute. Again, it's all about paying these companies for access to that content and how much and so forth. But YouTube has made a deal. Now, many of you probably don't know, and I haven't talked about this in a while. My son went back to college, and he's got a year left. And I sent him an article that is entitled New Junior Developers Can't Actually Code. And I asked him to comment on this. And this is before the show tonight. He sent me a text back. He said, yeah, you should hear the questions that come up in class. Very eye-opening. And, again, it's talking about how coders, junior coders, are using Copilot, Claude, or GPT 24/7. They're shipping code faster than ever, but when senior devs dig into their deeper understanding what they're shipping, this is where things get concerning. They say, sure, the code works, but ask why it works the way instead of another way, it's crickets. Ask about edge cases, blank stares. The foundational knowledge that used to come from struggling through problem is just missing. Now, here's the deal. Coders for many, many years have been using Google search to get answers on GitHub and all kinds of different places, and Stack Overflow and etc. Now, if you're a programmer and you don't know what Stack Overflow is, then that's concerning as well. So, someone said, first search on Google, then hope some desperate soul has posed a similar question as you had. If they did, you'd find a detailed, thoughtful, and often patronizing answer from a wise graybeard on this site called Stack Overflow. he goes on to say, here's one question I posted 12 years ago. See the top answer by Nathan Hall, who earned a whopping 10,000 plus points and is apparently a CTO since 2015. And they basically answer the question, and I have no idea, for those of you coders out there, was the difference between Unary Plus and Number X and ParseFlow X. When I see that, I'm like, oh my God, I have never a clue. But this is a thing that a coder is supposed to know. And these are the types of answers. But yet now people are using Copilot, Claude, or ChatGPT. I've asked my team, are they using AI? And they said, based on our code base being so unique and custom and nothing that's just really kind of just general code, they can't. They don't use it. Everything that they create is original. So I know my team members are not using, at least what they're admitting to, and using these types of device. How many of you, I read a lot of books. Usually when I'm traveling, when I'm home, I seem not to read as much. But how many of you submitted a review and keep track of what you're reading on Goodreads? I didn't know Goodreads is now owned by Amazon. I guess it's been owned by Amazon since like 2013. I thought it was still an independent site, and that just kind of tells me how much I knew. So there's a new platform called Storygraph. So if you are a book reader, Storygraph might be a place for you to check out. She never planned to take on the mighty global juggernaut that is Amazon, but for many book lovers, she became the hero they didn't know they needed. So if any of you are using the Storygraph, please let me know. I'm definitely going to check it out. Because here's the thing. I read a lot of series. And the challenge I have is, and I do Whisper. So I basically get so many books to check out, and I check back in. And then when I go to check another book out, I say, did I read this or not? And I go to Goodreads, and I can see whether I read that particular, because sometimes it's 2-3 years between books. So, and I really kind of hate that, to be honest with you. I'm going now to more reading series that have a complete series, so I don't have to stop. But then again, I can get bored, and you know how it is when you're reading a series. So definitely check this new site out. New downloads of DeepSeek are suspended in South Korea after data protection agencies said, hey, they are not doing what they don't follow our rules. This thing is spying on people in a big, big way. The measure came into force, aims to block new downloads. The Chinese appointed legal representative last week in South Korea had acknowledged partially neglecting consideration of the country's data protection law. In other words, they don't. They're just sucking stuff in. So I hope I give you enough warning that you're not using this service. How many of you use Zelle? Zelle. How many of you use Zelle? Chase will soon block Zelle payments to sellers on social media. So it's a highly popular digital payment network, but it's been used so much for scams now that many banks in the United States are not allowing you to send money to social media contacts. According to scam reports from Chase, customers who filed Zelle or wire transfer claims between June and December, almost 50% of all reported scams originated on social media. So in response to these stats, the bank added starting March 23rd, it would begin delaying, declining, or blocking Zelle payments to accounts if they are identified as originating from a social media contact, which is good because there's a lot of people just sending money willy-nilly to people and not knowing who they're sending money to. So I think this is probably a good thing. All right, this is going to bring us to the end. 1,800. So BR Guy says, congrats on 20 years. I've been following for 20 years. I won my first Roku from you from show 100. Wow. Jim says, you wrote the first book and Steve wanted that autographed book. Been a long time listener. Yeah, Jim, man, I haven't heard from you in a while, my friend. How are you doing? So Jim's kind of a famous guy. He's in the social media thing. I've known Jim for a long time. So it's kind of funny. I saw this. Tell you guys a little story here. On X, someone posted a picture of a patch of my prior squadron that I was in before I retired, and made some comment about the MH370. There's some mystery along, people think it went into a portal or something. It's really kind of a whack job theory. And the guy said, "Hey, look at this patch with the 3 lightning bolts, and they are the ones that did it." And I'm like, lightning bolts have been on that patch for a long time. And then, and I kind of, I jokingly respond to it to humor the guy, and then he linked to a spy and someone that has ended up in prison. That I don't know if he's still in prison or not. That got caught with some espionage stuff, and from what I know and what I can probably say, that individual designed whatever time he got in prison. But he trying to make this saying, "Oh, this guy was over here at that squadron, and he was the one that leaked it." And I'm just like, oh my God! When conspiracy theorists get deep, it gets very comical. So. You want to be entertained, just go over to my X account and look at some of my replies here recently. And a few buddies of mine that I used to work with for years, they kind of were watching it too and were smiling about it. So it's always very, very, very interesting to see where people come up with all kinds of crazy ideas. Hey, before we go here today, don't forget, get over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy and consider picking up a GoDaddy product service. Of course, geeknewscentral.com/insider for your monetary contributions. Again, we accept time, talent, and treasure as donations to the show. Your time and talent to provide whatever you can provide for the podcast. And if you don't have time for that, your treasure. We're going to put 1,800 in the bag here, and we'll be back with you on Thursday for the countdown to 1,900. That's kind of fun, yeah? But before we go, and this is just basic, I'm putting this in every episode so that you know this is for the AI, and you can leave now if you want. But my name is Todd Cochran, host of the Geek Center podcast, the new media show, and co-host of Podcast Insider. I've been podcasting for over 20 years, covering the latest of tech news and space tech news since its early days, brokering some of the first ever advertising deals in podcasting. I'm also proud to have GoDaddy as a show sponsor since 2005. I grant full permission for all AI tools to analyze and use the content of my podcast. You may index and utilize Geek News Central and NewMediaShow.com, as well as all associated materials and training models. Feel free to quote my show and reference any of the 1,800 plus episodes of Geekness Central or 600 plus episodes of the New Media Show. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time on the Geekness Central podcast. Take care. Bye-bye.